Okay, we're recording. So let me pull up Safety Suite. All right, can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do a complete overview of everything in Safety Suite, and then we'll also take a focus on PDPs and reporting.
Mm-hmm.
So each time you log in, this is where you're going to land. This is the performance dashboard. And on this dashboard, there are 6 primary widgets, and those are for the 6 modules that you will use most often. So in the first widget, we've got the watch list scores. You can hover over this area here. You can see how many drivers you have in this watch list score range. You can go down to the individual drivers here and toggle through the different screens down here. In each of the widgets, there's these 3 little dots. You have the option, you can click on that, and you can download a report from that widget in a CSV or an Excel file. Over here in your view by, this is where you will select different terminals if you want to see just a specific terminal. And then obviously up here, if you click here, you can go to your admin, and that will take you to your admin panel to add new users, to change permissions, add permissions, and so forth. The next widget is your enforcements over the last 30 days. So this is showing you the number of inspections, how many were clean, how many had violations. Again, you can always go directly into the record from here. The next 2 are your accident-free days. And I did want to call out that, during deployment, we did a one-time upload of all of your accidents.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that the last accident entered is dated March 18th. So any accidents that you've had since that upload, those need to be manually entered into Safety Suite.
Sure.
And I'll go over how to do that as well. Then we've got your expiring documents. This is showing you the number of documents currently expired, how many in the next 30 days, and in the next 60. And then the last 2 would be your injury-free days. So if you decide to manually enter injuries, that data will show here. And then development plans. Those are the professional development plans that you'll hear me refer to as PDPs. Once you start using those, this is going to show you how many you currently have assigned to drivers, how many tasks are currently assigned, and how many tasks are passed to. Any questions on the dashboard?
Not yet.
Okay. The next dashboard that you see here is the custom dashboard. This is where you're going to want to create folders before you start creating reports. All you do is you select add category, and maybe you're going to want to run reports on accidents. So you can create an accidents folder. Maybe you want to create one for highway observations, camera events, and so forth. The reason you want to have these folders created is if you create a report, then you go to save it, it's going to ask, where do you want me to save it? So you need to have these folders created. All right, let's go to the next module here, which is the drivers. This is where all of your drivers, you're going to see these, and these come over from your TruckMate integration. So any driver information is going to be housed here. So you don't want, since we've got that integration going, you don't want to manually add drivers in. You want that to flow in through that integration. If you go to any of the different drivers, on the first tab, you're going to see their general information, their birth dates, their hire dates, and so forth. The next tab is files. So this is where you will find their CDLs, their med cards, any documents that you've uploaded, those DOT documents, those are going to be shown here. You can go in and you can edit just by selecting it, make the different modifications that you want. Once you do that, you'll click on Save Record. If you wanted to upload a document to an existing upload that you already have, or when you're adding a new one, you simply select down here to upload a new document. Once you do anything in the screen, you want to save. So when I say the screen, if you were to do something here, you make a change here under the general HR, and then you click over to files and you upload a document, and then you select save, what you entered on the first tab would not be saved. So you want to save by screen. The performance tab. So this is where you're going to see any PDPs that are currently open or closed under a driver. Any accidents would be displayed here. Their injuries, here's camera events, your telematics, all of that's going to be found here under that specific driver. Training, if a training provider is linked, then any classes that are open or completed will show here. Tests, this isn't a used by most clients, but if you did have tests that you provide to your drivers and you want to add those, you can simply do that here. You just select Add Test, do the test type, fill in these fields, and then save down here. Comment log. So this is where you can enter just general comments about a driver. I will caution you that these are permanent. You can, once you've added it and saved, you can't delete it. So if you put anything that's real derogatory, it is a permanent comment and it shows up over here. Once comments are added, you would see those here. So anybody that has access to this driver record would also see any comments that are entered. Then this last tab, the Documents tab, this would be General Documents tab. So here under Files, this is where we upload your CDL, your med cards. If you have other documents, maybe you have, maybe you do annual reviews and you have the driver sign off on them. If you want to upload that so that you have everything associated with that driver here, then you could simply upload the document. Next is the watch list. So the watch list needs to be monitored daily or at least multiple times throughout the week. What you're going to see here is you're going to see top score down. So the higher the watch list score, the more focus needs to be on what behaviors are causing that driver to have that high watch list score. Looking at it here gives you the driver name, terminal, their position, the amount of time they've been with the company, their current watch list score, any change in the watch list score in the past 30 days. This was just rolled out last week, so this is new. Then we scroll over here. This will show you a trend. Is this watch list score trending up, which you don't want, or is it trending down, which is the pattern you do want to see? Then plan status. So if a driver is currently on a PDP, it will show that here. When a PDP is first assigned, it shows assigned, not started yet. Once the first task has been completed, it'll show that it's open. And then once a task PDP has been assigned and the first task completed, it'll show as open. And when a PDP has been completed, it's going to show the date the plan was completed and the name of that last PDP that was completed. Over here, you can filter if you're wanting to search by specific driver. You want to see only drivers for a specific terminal. You want to see by position, status. So it defaults to active. So if you want any of these other statuses, you would need to select that. If you want to sort by tenure. Now, the watch list, in order to address behaviors and start assigning PDPs, We suggest that you try not focusing on all of the drivers at one time. So focus on maybe your top 10% or 5%. So if we said that we want to look at the top 10%, then we're going to minimize how many drivers we're needing to focus on. If I look at that and I'm like, that's too many to address in 1 week, then I could reduce this, go down to my top 5%. Now I just have these drivers and I need to see where I need to focus. So in order to do that, we would just simply open up that driver record to see what is causing this score. So we've got these 3 drivers with a score of 100. We've got 99, 98, 97, 95. So let's look at Toby. If we go into Toby's record, his watch list score, we see the past 6 months trend. So what the previous scores over the past 6 months would be listed here. But since y'all recently went live, there isn't anything showing there. But to see what's causing that score of 100, if we scroll down, we see the score factors. So we see that 75 of those 100 points are coming from what's labeled as complaints. These are your camera events. So we've got following distance. That was March 14th. Let's see if we can expand this open some. So March 14th through June 27th, we had 15 points for following distance, another 15 for critical distance, 15 for handheld device, and so forth. And I look at this and I'm like, okay, looks like we've got an issue right now with following distance. So maybe I want to address those with the driver, and that's where those PDPs come into play. So I'm going to select following distance and critical distance, and then I'm going to select assign plan. So if I select assign plan, I'm going to have a drop down here. So, and we'll go into detail on the different PDP templates, but those templates are going to appear in this drop down. So as we saw, we need to address following distance. So we have a first time addressing and a second time addressing. So we would select following distance and space management first time. When do I want the plan to start? Okay, I know that I'm not going to be able to meet with Toby until Wednesday. So I'm going to select, I want the plan to start Wednesday. And don't worry, I'll remove this after we're done. And I'm going to assign the plan. When I do that, all of the tasks associated with the plan pop up here. The default task assignee, meaning who is responsible for managing this task with Toby, it defaults to driver manager or safety manager. And you would populate the actual manager that is to handle those tasks with the driver here. So you can do this one of 2 ways. You can manually populate each one of these fields individually, or you can do a mass assignment. So maybe we're going to say the plan introduction, driver scheduling, the manager check-in A and B, and the conclusion of the plan. Those are going to be assigned to you. So then we could come up here and we could select your name. Okay, you're not in there.
Probably under Joseph.
Yes. So, Joseph. Okay. There we go. So we would select you, and then we would select apply. Now those tasks are assigned to you. So then maybe we're going to have these video trainings and the ride-along assigned to another manager. So I'm just going to randomly select a name, even though it's probably a driver, but we'll pretend that this is a manager. We're going to apply. Now I see I've got all of my tasks assigned. It shows the due dates of each of these different tasks. And then I would select confirm. When I select confirm, an email notification will go out to those that are assigned saying, hey, Toby has been put on a following distance plan. These are the tasks assigned to you and when they're due. Then 2 days before each of the due dates, another notification will come out letting you know that this task is coming due in 2 days. And then if any of the tasks become past due, a third notification will go out on those and continue until those tasks are done. In order to receive those tasks, we need to make sure that all managers have the alerts turned on under this task module. So if we go here to the task module and open this up, you'll see alerts. There's task assignments on, task due in 2 days, past due. You want to make sure that everybody has those tasks turned on. It should default all 3 to on, but I always say to check to make sure, because if any of these are not turned on, then the notifications will not be received. So let's look at the tasks that have been assigned in that template, that PDP that we just put Toby on. When you come into the task module, you will see all tasks for all plans, regardless of who has been assigned to manage the individual tasks with those drivers. So you can do one of 2 things. You can search by just yourself by typing in your name here, or the easiest way is to just simply go to this My Task tab. If you select My Tasks, only the task assigned to you will be visible to you. So under All Tasks, anyone that has access, so the managers, to PDPs and the tasks, they will see all tasks regardless of who they're assigned to. Or if a manager only has visibility to a specific terminal, then they will only see open tasks for drivers under those assigned terminals. As tasks are completed, you come into the task module and you mark the tasks done. So you just select Mark Done, and then was the task completed defaults to yes. If for some reason it wasn't completed, you could select no. And then the system requires notes be added here under meeting details. So you would enter your notes here, and then the date automatically populates here. But let's say that the task was actually completed Friday and you forgot to come in and mark the task complete, then you would just simply change the date to last Friday. And then you would select Mark Task Done. So now what's going to happen is that task will disappear off of the open tasks. But if we go back to our watch list, we're going to see under Toby that we have a plan that's in progress. And if we come down under Training and Development and open up the professional development plans that we have in place, we will see that plan, and we will see that 1 out of 8 tasks have been completed. We can go actually to that plan from here, or we could go back up to the task module. So if I open up the plan from here, I'm going to see all the details of the plan. So this gives you a description of the plan, why this plan would be assigned, what the expected outcome is after that plan's been completed. And then I can also see the tasks here, as well as the open task. I can see the tasks that have been completed, and I can see who completed the task. And if I scroll over some here, I can see when that task was completed. I can mark task complete from here as well. And I can also assign tasks. So maybe you're going to be out on vacation and you need somebody to cover your tasks. Then you could actually come in here and you could select these tasks. Maybe it's these 2 tasks that you're not going to be here on the 5th. Then you could simply reassign them. So we're going to reassign those to Andrew, select apply and confirm. Now Andrew will get a notification that these tasks have been reassigned to him, and it's going to update here once we've been out and we come back in. Again, you can mark task complete from here. Just put in your notes, populate the date if it's different, and then select Mark Done. And if we go back over to our task module, we're going to see that now we've got 2 tasks that have been wiped off of the screen, that they've been completed. If at any time you want to see what's been completed, you can toggle this to on, and you'll see the completed task as well. Any questions here?
How does the driver get the tasks?
So you would need to reach out to the driver. And so that first task is driver scheduling and meeting with the driver. So you would reach out to the driver and you would let the driver know that you've put the driver on a on a following distance plan, why you've put him on the following distance plan. And then as these tasks become due, it's up to that manager that is assigned here to reach out to that driver and manage that task with the driver.
Right. But how does the driver get that task?
The drivers don't receive anything from Safety Suite.
Okay.
This would be a communication between you, the manager, and the driver.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mark these other tasks. Oh, another thing that you can do in the task is, let's say that with this task that's due July 8th, you know that Toby is not going to be available July 8th. You could actually go into that task, and then there's a little calendar here by the due date. You could change this. So I know he's not going to be available to the 8th. We need to change this to the 9th, and I can change that date. That's something that's new as well. Up until 2 weeks ago, you couldn't change dates. You would just have to keep it as it was. But we did this so that when tasks are not truly past due, you can control that, because a lot of fleets do metrics on how many tasks have been completed within the due date, the scheduled due date. From here, you can also go to that plan. So if you just select go to linked PDP, it's going to take you to where we were. You have tabs up here. So under the PDP, you've got progress updates. So this is going to show you the tasks that have been completed, the notes that were entered, when those tasks were completed, and who completed that task with the driver. If at any time you want to add additional updates, you can simply do that here. You can name it however you want, put in whatever notes you want, and then the date, and then save. You do have a comment log. You can enter additional comments here. And then you have a documents tab. So if you have anything that you, maybe when they complete a training, the video training, or maybe there's a checklist that you complete when you do the ride along, if you want to upload that here for this plan, then you would just simply do that here by uploading and go through the steps of naming and saving. If we go back to these tasks, I'm going to quickly mark all of these tasks as complete. I need to have elevator music when I'm doing this. All right, so I've got all of my tasks complete. And if I come over to the watch list, oops, I didn't mean to do that. It's going to show now this. So the watch list updates overnight. So tomorrow, if we were to keep this here, this would show that there was a plan that was closed on July 1st. But here under last completed date, it shows following distance space management. If I expand this out a bit, see if it'll let me. It's probably not going to show me all of it because the name of the plan is so long. But if I was to go in and look at this driver, it's going to show the date it was completed as well. So what will happen when we're looking at the watch list, if I was not to remove that plan tomorrow, because the watch list updates overnight, tomorrow you would actually see a decrease in this watch list score. So as soon as you assign a plan, the machine learning starts keeping up with it and calculating it. And as each task is completed, points shave off. So when we were looking at Toby and we saw that under complaints, we had following distance and critical distance, each with 15.5 points. When a plan is in place and once completed, it's not going to remove all 15 of those points, but it takes a large percentage of the points off. When you first assign a plan, I'm going to look at my note real quick here. When you first assign the plan, it's going to remove 15%. And then once the plan has been completed, it's going to take off 40% of those points. And then as time goes by, those points for these events will continue to decrease. So typically within 90 days of a completion date of a plan, you see a significant drop in the score or in these points that are assigned to these events. Because the goal is to, once you've met with Toby and you've gone over, we've had this many following distance events that have come in, through the integration from Lytics showing that, and then you've discussed that behavior, then you should start to see a decrease in it. If you wanted to assign plans to these other events, you would simply go through the same process. So we have different plans for each of the different events. So let's look over at PDP templates. This is where you're going to see all of the different PDP templates that are available to use and assign with your drivers. So we have failed inspection, we've got backing, first and second, defensive driving, hours of service, distracted driving, lane change, traffic control and signage, speed management, and following distance. You can open up these different templates, and it's going to give you the name of the template, the description of the plan. So what is the purpose of using this plan with a driver and what should be done? And then what the expected outcome is once a driver has been on this plan and has completed the plan. And then all of the different tasks are listed down here. Now, I always suggest looking over the different templates. So we have some customers that they say they're not able to do the ride-alongs. And so maybe they don't want that task to be listed in these different templates. So you can simply open up the task and you could remove, delete, even though it says template, you would be deleting just that task. Or maybe you want this to, instead of it always being 18 days due after the plan has started, you want it to be 15 days or 20 days. You could change that as well. These days due after the plan starts, that is what calculates the actual due dates. So when we were looking at those tasks that we had assigned, it showed actual calendar dates. So that is how those are calculated. If you want to add new additional templates, so these are the standard that we load, but a lot of clients want to add templates for onboarding or 90-day check-ins. You can simply come in and select Add PDP Template. You would select your category, name it, add a description. What is the purpose of the plan? Expected outcome. And once you save that, and I'm not going to do it because it will, you can't delete a template. You can only make a template inactive. So I don't want to busy up your screen when you go in. But once you save the template, then you have the option to add the different tasks. You have to have at least one task. And so then you would simply select Add Task Template, follow the steps, and add the task, and then save it. This would be blue. So you would save it, and now you've got an additional template that you have created. When you go into the templates, it automatically defaults to show you all of the templates here. So you want to make sure that you default to just active. What that means is you're only going to see templates that you want your team using. Anytime you no longer want a template to be used. So whereas we've got defensive driving 1 and defensive driving 2, maybe you don't want both. Maybe you always want everyone to use defensive driving 1. Then you could simply open up the defensive driving 2 template, and you could make this as inactive. And then that way, when you're looking at templates and when the templates appear in that drop down when a plan is assigned, you would only see the active ones. Under the professional development plans, that's where you will see your open and closed plans. So that plan that we just completed is showing here. Questions with that?
Not yet.
Okay. Under safety and risk, this is where you're going to find your accidents, your injuries, your telematic alerts, highway observations. Those are your camera events. So under the accidents, and like I said, the last one entered is dated March 18th. So this is where you would go in and manually add an accident. When you add an accident, the general detail screen will appear here. Once you populate these fields, then you'll be taken to another screen. And so these would be the additional fields that you would populate. That first, when you're first entering under add accident, it's only a few fields that are mainly required fields. And then you get all of these other fields that you can populate. Then you also have a damage tab. So if you have your trucks loaded and you want to add that truck that was damaged, you would simply do that by add asset, and it gives you the different fields to populate. If there is a claim associated with the accident, you would select add claim. You populate these first fields. Once these are completed, then you would be, and you save the claim, then you'll be directed to another screen to populate more details, the financial details, medical, all of those details. And then you've got corrective action. So when you enter an accident, it's really important for you to note the severity and the preventability. So what was the severity of the accident? And was this preventable or non-preventable? Because that's going to help in how it's weighted with the watch list score. So a preventable accident is going to be weighted more heavily than a non-preventable. If you are still have the accident under investigation and you're not sure, you can select under investigation. If you're entering an accident that is simply for record purposes only, then you could select that, and that way it would not impact the watch list. Your details listed down here, corrective action type. So if you're met with the driver on it and so forth, and then reviewed by would be whoever is populating this corrective action type. They would type in their name here and the date, and then any details down here. Again, in every module that you go into, there is a comment log and a documents tab. The comment log under each of the different modules is specific to the screen that you are on. So we're looking at an accident for Bruce. So if you have comments about that, then those would be entered here. If you have documents that are associated with this accident, you would upload those here. You also have the ability to print out the accident. So by selecting print accident, all details about the accident that have been entered on all of these different tabs would be visible here. If the accident was entered and it was entered in error, you do have the ability to delete the accident. Bill of lading incidents, if you decide to use those can simply be entered here. You select Add Bill of Lading. There's a general screen here that pops up. Once you save it, then another screen will pop up for additional details. Claims. If you need to enter a claim that is not associated with an accident, then you can simply do that here. Again, you have this first screen for general information. Once you save the claim, then an additional screen pops up with the multiple tabs for you to enter the financials, medical, upload documents, and so forth. You do have forklift incidents. If you decide to use that, you simply select Add, and then there are screens, and you populate the fields. Injuries, it's very similar to how you enter a claim. So you would first get a general screen. Once you've saved the injury, then you would have an additional screen with multiple tabs that you can populate. Material spills, and then telematic alerts. So this is where all of your telematics are coming in. So the telematics are different from the camera events. So camera events are under highway observations. The telematic alerts, those are your speeding, your harsh braking, harsh acceleration, harsh cornering. Those are going to be appearing here under telematics. You can go in and see the details of those records. Again, you have a corrective actions tab. You can populate the severity and the preventability here. And you have the comment log and a documents tab. If you need to make any modifications to this, you can do so here. Just once you do, select save so that it does save that record. We have that 3-day delay in place for you for the lytics events coming over. So if you were to make a change in lytics on day 4, then that's not going to come over, but you could make a change here. And under this details, this is pulled directly from lytics. So this actually gives you from Samsara. This gives you all of the information that came from that and actually gives you the record that you can select that link and go to it. Next, you have customer observations. So these are entered if you have a customer, or maybe, the 1-800 How's My Driving, those types of calls come in, then you could record those by selecting Add Customer Observation. There's a general screen, and once you save it, there's another screen with additional tabs. Highway observations, those are your camera events. So if we open that up, shows that this is coming over from Samsara, gives you the details here on the first screen. Then it gives you corrective actions, again, severity and preventability, additional details. Then you have the comment log and the documents tab. If you go to the documents tab, when you see that there is a number noted here, if you go to the documents tab, you'll be able to actually watch the video that came over from Samsara. Then you have some standard reports that are here. So you have a loss run report, the OSHA 300-300A, and a terminal summary. I will tell you that the OSHA made a change to the template for 2024, but didn't provide notification until 2024. So our product team was not able to go in and make the necessary upgrades. So running it for 2023 would not be correct. So you will be able to see in the OSHA report, starting with the January 2025, you'd be able to pull all the data for 2024. Questions?
Not yet.
Okay. Under training and development, so we went over the professional development plans and the PDP templates. Then under training courses, so if you were to decide to add an LMS provider such as Carrier's Edge, Loomis, Luma, um, Infinity, which is also known as Vertical Alliance, then those courses would be available here under in Safety Suite, which would allow you could assign the courses under the LMS providers portal, or you could assign under Safety Suite instead of having to go back and forth. For Vertical Alliance Infinity, it has a push-pull integration. So when the driver completes the course in the Infinity application, it actually pushes that data over into Safety Suite as well. So you would be able to see when courses have been assigned, courses that are due, and courses that were completed, and whether or not they passed or failed. You have the ability to have certifications here. You can add those here for your drivers, and then review and certify. Then down here, we have a task past due monitor. So any tasks with those PDPs, if there's any tasks that are past due, those would be displayed here. You don't have any currently, so we're not seeing anything, but they would be listed here. And you could also sort this by the different terminals if you have access to all terminals and you only want to see a specific terminal. If you're set up to only see a specific terminal, then that's what would appear here. Then you have canned reports. So due training, expiring training, incomplete training. That is if you have an LMS provider that is integrated in with Safety Suite. Under compliance, this is where you're going to find your enforcements. So those enforcements that we were looking at on the widget on the performance dashboard, that's pulling from here. So you can go into the individual enforcement. You can see what the inspection, you can see the information about that. If there were any citations, they would appear on the next tab. Then you've got general details regarding that inspection, and then any corrective actions that you do. And then again, you have comment log and a documents tab. The FMCSA basics, this is going to give you across all of these different indicators, any changes for the positive or the negative. So this shows here that for unsafe driving, that we had a 5% improvement. Here we've got a 6%, and this is looking at the last 30 days. Now, you notice here that this shows last updated May 30th. Typically, FMCSA does their monthly push, usually around the second to third week. So we usually don't see this date change until usually end of the second week of the month. If you want to see past performance, you can see that here. So if we wanted to look at last June, we could open this up here and we could see the different violations and those percentiles for June of last year. Then hours of service, these are listed here. So you've got your type of violation. So if we come here and open this up, we're going to see this is the log violation, 14-hour rule. It's coming over from Samsara. We've got corrective actions tab. If you want to make any changes, additions here. And then of course you've got your comment log and your documents tab. Got some permits here for alcohol, fuel tank, hazmat, and so forth. We've got some monitors for those. And then we've got some CAN reports. So an enforcement summary report, you simply populate the date range that you want, and then you can export it as an Excel file. And then we've got the FMCSA clearinghouse. So you would enter the positions that you want to pull this on, the statuses that you want, and then export it. Under the Human Resources tab, you've got some driver checklist, you've got expirations. So documents that are expiring, med card certifications. You've got some canned reports. So for your driver's anniversaries, birthdays, you've got performance reviews and turnover. The performance review is good. You can select this by your date range and then select whether you want it across a terminal or an individual driver. And then that's going to give you all of the dates for all of the details for the date ranges that you select. So like if we were want to do by terminal and we select terminal here, and then we want drivers for that terminal. And let's say that we want January through June. And then we could export that report out into an Excel file. Equipment. So if you were to decide to monitor your equipment or maintain your equipment, you can enter your equipment, your trucks and your tractors, simply by doing add equipment. It's going to give you this first screen just for general details. So this would be whether it was an active truck, inactive, any of that information from these drop downs. Your unit number is a required field, the terminal, and then you've got a state field. Once you save that, then all of the details for equipment would appear on the different screens. I can show you that. I go in, oops, doesn't like it when I'm doing it in all caps. So if I go to our demo site here, go to equipment. Once you've entered on that first screen, then it would take you to this next screen. So this is where you would enter all of the details about the asset. You've got a type specifics tab. You've got financial. You've got maintenance. You can enter maintenance records here. And then you've got a comment tab and a documents. So like a documents here. Let's see what this is. So we've got some different documents here that are uploaded. Let's go back to your instance. All right, the next next module here is Safe View. This is fairly new, but we have canned reports here that give it in a visual reporting format. So you've got all of these different widgets. It's by month. So it automatically defaults to the previous month. On the events dashboard, you've got accidents, got telematics, and highway observations. These widgets can be downloaded. You can view these in an Excel report format as well, just by selecting how you want to view it. So here it comes up in a report format, and you can download. So if we take it back to the image, you can download that. Here you can filter on the widget, so you can see the different actions and types. You can change filters here as to how you want to view it on the different widgets. Then we've got the same on the watch list and PDPs. So you can sort by change the month. You could select the terminal. You can see if you want all PDPs or just watch list PDPs, or if you want to have non-watch list PDPs. And then you've got average watch list score over time. You've got your riskiest drivers. And again, you have the ability to download these. You've got percent of drivers on PDPs over the last 12 months, completion of tasks. And then once you start using those PDPs, you would start seeing these down here populated. So this is going to give you the percentage of drivers that were on a PDP for the previous month. This is going to give you the top 3 PDP templates that have been assigned in that previous month. Then you've got custom dashboards. This is where you can create your own. We default to, so being able to take a deep dive on telematics and on accidents. So if I open up this one, it's going to give me different visuals regarding my accidents. But if I want to create my own, maybe I want to have a dashboard on camera events. I can create new dashboard. So I could name it. So maybe I want this to be on highway observations, save it, and then I would simply go in and open that dashboard. And now I want to start adding widgets to create my own dashboard. So we said we were looking at camera events. So I would scroll down to highway observations, and I want to add a widget. So what is the date range that I want? So I want the last 30 days, or maybe I want it to be the last 6 months. I can view this by business unit and then go deep into how I want to see it. So maybe I only want to see it for bulk, and I want heavy haul and van. And then if I want to add a secondary grouping, I can do that here and then filter. So I could filter on the different highway observations that I want. So maybe I think that we're having an issue across all drivers with following distance. So that's what I want to see. And maybe I also think that we've got following distance and we've got that critical distance. So I'm going to add both of those. And then type. So is it complaint, compliment? So it's going to be a complaint since it's a highway observation. So now I can see this. I can change the way I'm viewing it. And then I could save it. So I'm creating that custom dashboard that I want to have. So I'm going to save. Do I want to save it to the main menu, meaning I'm the only one that can see it, or do I want to publish? If I publish, that means that anyone can come in and they can view this on a dashboard. So I want to name this Highway Observations. I want to select the dashboard I want it to be saved to. So I want it to be on that test dashboard. And I'm going to publish. Now, if I go back to my safe view, go to my custom dashboards, if I open up my test dashboard that I just created, I've got that first widget. Now, when we were looking and seeing how these others that are already created, how these have the multiple widgets, that's how yours would start appearing once you create additional widgets under that test dashboard that I just created. Make sense?
It does.
And so for this, I suggest, just come in here and create a test, see how, you can't break anything. I wouldn't change these two until you're really familiar with the safe view viewing of these visual reports. And then if you ever need to, you create a dashboard and you're like, I really didn't want to do that, you can come in and you can delete that. So I'm going to delete that test dashboard. Then also under Safe View, we recently rolled out scorecards. I believe you attended the webinar that Jonathan put on for that.
Yep.
And that's where you would come in here to create those new scorecards. Visual insights, eventually this is going to go away. At one point, that's what we had was visual insights, and you couldn't create multiple widgets into a dashboard like you can today. You just had to create widgets under each of the different ones, and then you would go to each of the different ones. So there's no need to use this now that we've got reporting under Safe View. This document library, this is different than the document library tab that you see in all of the different modules. So if you have maybe you've got a form that you use on a regular basis, and if you'd like to have it right at your fingertips, you could upload that here in Safety Suite and have that available. Then you've got custom reports. So this is where you'll go to if you're wanting to just quickly, I want to see what my accidents were for last month. Then under the show field, this is where you're going to enter what is the subject of your report. So I'm looking for accidents. So I'm going to add accidents. And then you could add filters, but what I suggest always is first select run to see what automatically pulls back. And we see that it pulls back the record number from Safety Suite, the date, the employee, terminal severity, preventability, and whether or not it has a claim. If you want anything additional, you can select adding filters up here, or you can add column. So maybe I also want to know the accident type. So I could select accident type. Where do I want that to be? I want it to be right before severity. So I'm going to click on severity, and it's going to add that column for me. Then, whoops, sorry. Then, once I have everything added down here that I want, if I also want to, like I said, I want to just see the accidents for a certain time period, because this is going to give you all accidents that are in Safety Suite. So maybe I only want to see accidents from 2023. Then you could add a date filter. So I want date of accident, and I want only accidents from 2023. So I want January 1st through December 31st. Then I would select run again. Now it's going to only pull back those accidents. I still have the column that I added, and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to do save as, and those folders we created, those pop up here. So I'm going to save it in my accidents folder, and I'm going to name it 2023 accidents. What's great about that, by saving it to your custom dashboard, if we go over here, go back to that custom dashboard, and I go and I see under accidents, I have 2023 with a typo. And I also want 2022 accidents. Instead of having to recreate this report, I could actually open this up, just change my dates. So I want 2022. Now, instead of I wouldn't do save, because that would override what I've created for 2023. Again, I would do save as. I want it in my accidents folder, and these are my 2022 accidents. Oops. So if I go back to my dashboard, now under accidents, I have 2023 and 2022. Again, I don't like recreating the wheel every time. So if I just open this one up, and maybe I do want all accidents. So I'm going to remove this filter, select run again, and I'm not going to select save, because anytime you select save, it will override what you've already created. But I'm going to save as, and under accidents, it defaults accidents all. I'm good with that. What's great about that report is, let's say I ran this report on May 31st. All I have to do, if I want to see current accidents, I can go to my custom dashboard, open up the accidents all. It's going to automatically pull up all accidents through current date. So even though I created this in May, it would update all the way through June 30th. So I wouldn't have to go in and recreate the report. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I know we went a little over time. I'm sorry about that.
You're good.
Any questions?
I have a few.
Okay.
So I'm noticing that blocked lens behavior doesn't seem to exist anywhere. It really should, and it should be weighted pretty heavy. Example, I've got a driver on there that I know is cruising around with his lens taped over, and he has a score that's extraordinarily low because none of his terrible behaviors are recorded,
All
nor is
right.
the blocked lens.
Let's look then and let me see. Let me look and see how that integration is set up. Configuration. Go to job. And we'll go to. You're still 50/50 with Samsara Analytics, right?
Roughly.
Okay.
Both of them do identify block lens, and both of them do come through.
All right. Let's pull up Samsara. There we go. All right. We've got a 3-day delay. And field. Let's see. We do have obstructed camera selected as an event to come in.
It isn't.
Okay, let's see here. So let's run a report. That's not gonna let me do it that way. Give me 1 second here.
Mm-hmm.
Go here. Let's see if I can get into that job. There we go. Filter. Done one. Taking its time here. I'm trying to pull up the job.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. All right. Okay, I'm seeing that. Let's see. Let me sort this by date. So it's showing last obstructed camera events came in on the 28th. We had one under Bradley Ziegler.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go look at Bradley and see if that's showing in here. Bradley Ziegler. We go down here. Highway observation. Yeah, we've got obstructed camera.
So those aren't showing up on the watch list or scoring anywhere. Why is that? Because that means none of the other behaviors can be pulled in except for speed. So he's showing that he's 3. He should be up near 100.
All right, let me see. I actually had, I believe I reached out to our data science team on obstructed cameras last week. Let me make sure. Data services, and data science. Yes, the obstructed camera events do not impact the watch list.
Can we make them impact the watch list?
Let me add a note.
Because to me, that's one of the biggest ones because none of the other behaviors show up. In other words, based on this, cool, I don't want to be on this list. I'll just cover my camera and I won't show up anymore.
Exactly. All right, let me find out if data science can have that weighted, and you would want it weighted low, medium, or high.
Very high.
Okay.
Because if it's obstructed, we're not catching any of the other behaviors.
All right. So when it's obstructed camera, they've actually covered up the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Not that like it fell off and it wasn't put back on or something. They're
Correct.
covering it up.
Correct.
Okay. I will definitely ask about that.
Sure.
All right.
Another question I had, maybe I misunderstood the sales pitch I got. My understanding is with the PDPs, templates would be provided with the training materials, not that I had to create and or obtain my own.
No. So if you have an LMS provider, the Infinity, Carrier's
Mhm.
Edge, Luma, then there are specific tasks that
Mhm.
reference training courses under those individual providers.
Yep.
But
That I knew. And
but
I knew
we
we were
don't
able.
provide it.
Right. And I was under the understanding you did. So I was under the understanding initially that, yeah, we could combine with any of those LMS providers. But in lieu of purchasing one of those, I was going with this because I was under the understanding that that material was also included.
No. So the only way to have the Luma, as an example, training courses, you would have to have Luma, a contract with Luma, and then we would then pull in the courses from that.
Right. I understand exactly what you're saying. Like I said, I was under the understanding you had your own.
Yeah.
So it was sold to me as, all right, so Luma has it, Idelic, or not Idelic, Infinity
Well,
has
no,
it, whoever.
there are some canned ones.
Right.
So if we go back under training development and go to training courses, you can select Safety Suite here.
Mhm.
And then there are some canned ones that can be uploaded. We kind of got away from those because we were finding that most of the clients had had different providers. But under let me see if they have it in demo, and I can show.
Right. I unfortunately, one of the reasons I chose this was because I didn't want to have to also buy an LMS, and I was under the understanding it was included.
Yeah, so if we have, so well, and this one isn't real detailed either, but there are some trainings that you can do from here.
Mhm.
They're not, there aren't videos attached with them or anything like that. It's just, okay, I want him to do forklift training. Then that would just be like a prompt, but it doesn't give you any type of actual documentation or video.
Yeah, and I was unfortunately under the understanding it did for written or a go through type event or a video or what have you. I thought all that was part of Safety Suite
No,
because yeah, that impacted my decision to get it quite a lot in the first place.
no. Reach out. That was Brett.
Yep.
I'll reach out on that.
Now
Okay.
you did touch on the clearinghouse data. Is this supposed to be pulling in from clearinghouse, or is it something I need to give it, or what exactly is its integration with the clearinghouse?
So under the clearinghouse, under that clearinghouse report, let's see down here. So if we, well, it's not letting me click. 1 second. 2 screens going here.
Hi. In a meeting, yes.
So it will, if you populate here, the positions that you want and the driver statuses and then export, it's going to give you the driver's first and last name, their date of birth, their CDL, the country code, and their state.
Okay.
It'll automatically pull that. So it's pulling that from the driver profile. So
Right.
if you're over here.
And its purpose is what exactly?
It's just if you needed to have that as an exported file.
Oh,
Just
I see. So you're trying to create an exportable file for the clearinghouse.
yeah,
That
exactly.
makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. And then maybe again, I misunderstood on what was sold to me. I thought that when the watch list populated with, hey, these behaviors are a problem,
Mhm.
that it would also come up with a recommended list of PDPs or training modules that were supposed to be assigned, and it possibly could be assigned fairly automatically.
Well, they won't assign automatically, but it is true that so when you're looking at the watch list, we're looking at a driver and we're seeing these behaviors. So the templates are pretty much named after these behaviors. So like we've got harsh braking, there's a harsh braking PDP template.
Hmm.
There is a speed management. So this, if you open up and see what behaviors, like when we looked at that other one, so it said following distance and critical distance. And then when we go to assign the plan, we've got in this drop down, these are the different plans that are available. So if you're looking at following distance, okay, that's the plan I need to assign. If I'm looking at maybe I'm wanting to address this driver smoking, food or drink, other, and then I want to assign plan, and maybe I'm going to assign the distracted driving. So I would assign that plan.
I did notice driver smoking was listed and food and drink was listed. I thought we had removed those because we weren't going to weight them.
We can have those removed if you want.
Yep.
Okay. So we want to remove driver smoking and food and drink, or food or drink. All right, I'll submit a ticket to support on that, and I'll copy you.
Sure.
You'll know when it gets done. And what'll happen is these will disappear. I'll ask them to remove the history of those as well.
Sure.
Okay. What else?
That was kind of it. Those were kind of my biggies.
Okay. Well, I'm going to, I'll send a recap out of the call. I'll send you this recording, and then do a deep dive, get in there, get your feet wet. And then if you want, I can put another call on the calendar for next week for us to touch base, because I'm sure there'll be more questions.
Oh, yeah.
We can get together for that. Does this time work good for you?
It does, but can we do it because this week's a holiday and sure,
Yeah.
pretty much everyone's missing. Let's not do it next week. Let's do the week after.
Okay. All right, I'll get it scheduled.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because at that point, then I can have dug into it and get my feet wet, as it were.
Okay, so I will schedule a call for the 15th.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, as soon as this recording downloads, I'll send it over to you with a recap of what we went over, and I'll submit that ticket and copy you on it as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.